by the time you read about a new vulnerability in your inbox, attackers may already be scanning for it. Okay, just let that sink in for a second. Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're taking a really hard look at the modern threat landscape, and more specifically, the terrifying speed at which malicious actors are operating right now. Look, if you're waiting for a nice little email notification to tell you your systems are at risk, you are already too late. The race has absolutely started, and your opponents are already sprinting down the track.
So to fix this, we're going to dive into a tactical playbook today, AI ThreatLens. We're going to map out exactly how modern systems are neutralizing vulnerabilities before they can even be exploited. We're talking about transforming a process that's traditionally been completely chaotic and overwhelming into a clean, actionable, step-by-step guide. Okay, let's dive right into this. Here is our step-by-step guide for today. 1. The vulnerability time gap. 2. Step 1. Real-time ingestion. 3. Step 2. Contextual enrichment. 4. Step 3. Noise filtration. And 5. The new security standard.
Starting off with Section 1, the vulnerability time gap, where breaches happen.
So, here is the fundamental, inescapable reality of cybersecurity today. The National Vulnerability Database, the NVD, publishes new entries around the clock. Literally, they never sleep. And security teams are basically handed this non-stop 24/7 fire hose of potential disasters. Now, what's actually expected of them? Well, they're expected to constantly review these entries, meticulously assess whether each specific vulnerability applies to their unique network environment, and then somehow decide on a course of action. But let's be real about the human toll here for a minute. The bandwidth required to chase down every single alert is just staggering. Security analysts are suffering from massive alert fatigue, spending hours, sometimes days, just hunting down false positives or low-priority issues. And they have to do all of this manual sleuthing while managing everything else on their incredibly full plates.
And because of that sheer volume of data, human teams relying on manual reviews inevitably fall behind. We're talking days, sometimes even weeks behind. They simply can't process the information fast enough. And when your manual processes lag like that, a window opens up. That gap, the time between a vulnerability being published and your team actually mitigating it, is exactly where attackers thrive. It's like leaving the front door wide open. While human analysts are reading through yesterday's digest, automated scanning tools deployed by threat actors are already hunting for open doors on your network.
Right, so how do we close that gap? Well, we have to move away from manual catch-up and shift to automated instant response. This brings us to a proactive, completely automated workflow. Step 1, ingesting. Step 2, enrichment. Step 3, filtration. By implementing these 3 specific steps, the system continuously monitors every major data source, effectively eliminating that dangerous time gap altogether. And this isn't just about making humans work faster, it's about replacing the manual triage entirely so your team only acts on what truly matters. Let's break down exactly how this guide works in practice.
Which brings us to Section 2, Step 1, Real-Time Ingestion or Continuous Monitoring.
And this brilliantly illustrates the core of it: 0. That is exactly the number of manual refreshes required. That is the amount of time you spend waiting for a weekly security digest. 0. The platform captures vulnerabilities the exact millisecond they are published. It pulls in new data in real time, meaning the system knows about the threat the moment the broader world does. There are absolutely no delays. 0 waiting. You are instantly armed with the awareness you need to protect your environment.
Moving on to Section 3. Step 2, contextual enrichment, adding meaning to data.
Because look, raw data, even when it's delivered instantly, isn't actually helpful if you don't know what it implies for your specific network, right? The moment the platform ingests a new entry, it doesn't just sit there. It immediately begins enriching it. It pulls in severity scores, exploit data, affected vendor information, and broader threat context. Now, why does this matter so much? Imagine a new vulnerability drops. In a standard raw feed, it's just another obscure code string. But with Enrichment, the AI instantly cross-references it and tells you, hey, an exploit already exists in the wild for a specific vendor in your stack. Boom. Suddenly, your severity score skyrockets from a generic warning to a critical emergency. You aren't just getting a ping, you're getting a fully fleshed-out intelligence dossier the second the threat drops. You're completely skipping the hours of manual research it normally takes an analyst to connect all those dots.
Which leads us to Section 4, Step 3, Noise Filtration, or cutting through the clutter.
Now, what's really interesting here is the contrast. Because if the first 2 steps gather the intelligence, this step ensures you actually survive it. Instead of staring at a raw feed of hundreds of noisy, uncurated vulnerabilities, you get a highly curated view. The system takes all that enriched data we just talked about and uses it to aggressively filter out the noise. It isolates only what affects your specific vendors, your specific products, and the severity levels you actually care about. If there's no public exploit, or if the affected software isn't even in your environment, it gets filtered right out. The system tells you exactly what was just published, what it affects, and exactly how dangerous it actually is to you. That clutter is eliminated before it ever reaches your desk. This means your security team logs in and sees only the exact threats they need to patch immediately. No more chasing ghosts.
Finally, Section 5, the new security standard. Stop the manual madness.
By combining real-time ingestion, deep contextual enrichment, and precise noise filtration, this workflow fundamentally changes a security team's operational overhead. It totally shifts them from constantly playing catch-up to being permanently proactive. If you're ready to stop the manual madness for good, visit iThreatLens.org to see this real-time tracking in action. That is where you can witness exactly how automating these steps transforms vulnerability management from a chaotic chore into a streamlined, automated defense.
I want to leave you all with this final, provocative thought. If the gap is where breaches happen, is your team honestly still relying on manual CVE reviews? It's a pretty sobering thought, isn't it? If your process relies on human speed to beat machine speed attacks, you are leaving the door wide open. Take a moment to really think about how your own processes hold up against the modern threat landscape, and what steps you can take today to close that gap for good. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.